You dream of playing in national championships, playing in Super Bowls. That dream became a reality so fast that I didn't really get to enjoy it. That first 4 months, man, I really wanted to quit football, bro. I promise you.
They wonder about your maturity. Were you just coasting on talent? I guess I relate to that.
Man, I missed 2 full seasons. And so I got in on a couple plays, and it was just really intense. And I hadn't felt that before. Got to Philly, everybody was doing the right thing, showing up. We did good that year, and everybody went on to be successful.
Is it tiring to live up to what everybody expects from you, to the redemption story, to all you've been through? Does it get tiring?
We're living in a good old days. Take a look around. Ain't it funny how feels like we're in a good old days.
Welcome back to Glory Daze, an Almost Friday Media original. I'm Johnny Manziel. Today on the pod, we have we have my favorite athlete that I ever watched growing up, an absolute legend at Virginia Tech, a baller for the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, this is why I wanted to play football. This is who I wanted to play football like. Welcome to the pod, my guy, Michael Vick, man.
Thanks for having me,
man.
Honor to be sitting with you.
Man, it's surreal a little bit for me. I remember being a kid and watching things you did on the football field. I remember going back to my mom and being like, I need that jersey.
No doubt.
And I wore that thing as many days as I could to elementary school, and till the numbers faded off for the most part. So to be sitting here today, wore that thing out, bro. And man, it's an honor. I respect you, respect what you did on the football field, respect what you did in life. And
you told me that when my last year with the Steelers, we was talking before the game, and you kind of reiterated what you just said, but just let me know that you was a long-time fan, and just us being in each other's presence at the time was real cool.
That was my first game ever. Obviously getting towards the tail end of your career, but first time ever stepping into an NFL field. I remember walking across the field and running into you and being like, "Damn, bro, this is real life. This is the big leagues, and this is what it's all about." So, now where you are in your life, you're embarking on a little bit of a new chapter.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Transitioning into a new role and how that's going.
Yeah, man. Just got the call just out of nowhere. It was real abrupt, Johnny, man. But I was, in my mind wanting to be a coach or try to become a coach in the next couple of years. Obviously wanted to give it some time at Fox and let that take its course. And then got the call, man, and I just felt like it was just a moment where, you got to evaluate the situation. It's something you want to do in the future. And I was like, man, let me try it out and see if I like it or not. If I like it, I can continue to push forward and try to work my way up. If not, then, we'll see what happens and see where the chips fall. But I felt like it was a great opportunity to teach kids, help them on and off the field, and, just share that football knowledge that we possess.
Today, at 44 years old, what weighs on you these days? The highs of your careers, the lows, or what do you think about the most?
You know what, man? The highs, I appreciate, when I think about it. And I think about more of the highs, but I do think about the lows in terms of, like, the more I could have done, especially, in the back end, because you start to see the game, in year 9, 10, you start to feel like you know everything. And Andy was always telling me, like, it's more to it. There's more to it. Just keep, taking on different roles and responsibilities. And so I felt like I should have did more of that. But now I could teach the next generation, the guys that I coach, the young men that I coach, like, it's never feel like you know it all. So it's always going to be them good moments. It's always going to be them moments that we know we could have done better. But I try to let the good outweigh the bad.
I think the one thing that I see in your story so much of is just, redemption.
Yeah.
Dealing with the adversity that you did, dealing with what you had to go through, and coming out of that situation and kind of clawing your way back, fighting your way back to be able to take care of the things that you feel like kind of went a little bit wrong in your life, and to be able to pick yourself back up and be able to get back on the football field. Yeah. How was that transition coming from a place like prison to be able to come back out and get back into, the scheme of things of your life?
Yeah, man, it was just a challenge, and being challenged so many times before in my life, knowing that, I got a family, You know, I got friends, I got responsibilities. And so, you know, going through those times, I started to reflect on what did I miss along the way that, you know, led down this path. But I was all about being a part of the solution, not the problem. And so knowing it was an uphill battle too, you know, we know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? You play quarterback, you get down 20, it's an uphill battle. You know what I'm saying? So I try to just, you know, take it with a grain of salt, look at life for what it was, and know that, and feel comfortable that I had people around me who was going to help me get back to where I needed to be. And so I couldn't do it all by myself, I will say that, bro. And, you know, I'm thankful I had the people in my life that, I'm saying, kept me grounded. You know, that was most important.
I mean, when you come out of that situation, you had to feel, you know, super, super overloaded by that. You had to feel like, you know, the world's against you, and you got a long uphill climb to be able to come back, and just to be able to watch how that process went down, and to watch.
I knew there was a lot of people watching too. There was a lot of young men watching. It was made so public, you know, for all the right reasons. But then I'm like, now it's a spotlight there to show how to do it right too, you know. So shit, I had done it right all my life, and you know, so like my lawyer always told me, you know, sometimes you can do the right things with 23 hours in a day and screw up in that final hour, and then the whole day it's just,
And that's all it takes.
That's the stigma, you know what I mean? So it was like kind of like that situation, but thank God I was able to bounce back, man, pull through. You know what it's like going through adversity, facing it, coming on the other side, and persevering.
You know, as we get into some of the, you know, the highs of your career, you know, one of the things that I remember, you know, 2002, the walk-off against Minnesota, you know, it was just a play that's etched in my mind and etched in a lot of people's mind forever. Being able to lead your team in that regard, and being able to come out in such a huge situation, such a clutch situation. Is that one of your favorite plays of your career? And you still look back at it now, you still have to be like, damn.
Yeah, it is one of my favorites. I think as the years go on, I started to appreciate that run more. One, because I'm older now. I really, you know, look at my 22-year-old self at the time and know that my body was just completely different. Like, I can take off and accelerate without even warming up. And so I appreciated that part of, I appreciate now, this might sound crazy, but that part of my athleticism, you know, nowadays than I did back then. Because you can look back and I can see, like, I split a whole defense just, you know, just gliding through. But so many good plays to choose from. That was just one that, you know, kind of took the world by storm. And that game really put me on the map, put our team on the map, more importantly. And I really appreciate my teammates in that moment, because we got to run off the field together. It was a walk-off. You know, it was a dope moment.
It's bliss.
Yeah, for sure.
It's as good as it gets. You know, from there, I remember playing Madden football back in those days, and kind of after that year, you were
my ratings, attributes,
you were a
roof.
cheat code.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be something that you run into a little bit about those Madden days and that cover, and obviously.
Yeah, everybody always just saying, yo, bro, you earned me a lot of money. You won me a lot of money in college. You got me through college, paid tuitions, man, with those games. But Madden did it right. Some years they got it wrong. Some years they got it right. You know how we pay attention to them attributes.
No doubt. I remember getting my league for the first year and seeing a Madden rating. You come in and you're coming
crushed,
off.
Bro, you can be crushed if it don't
you're
go
coming
right.
off a Heisman year and coming back having another great year in college.
Speed of
and you get to the NFL and you're like,
we love y'all, man. Trust me. Yeah, I love you.
It's all love. I know the rookies look at it in a way now that's like everybody's got their ego a little bit and everybody's got their thing.
It's a real thing.
Now, that same year, you lead the Falcons to the playoffs, and you know, in the 83-year history of the Packers, they hadn't lost a postseason game at home. You go into that game, and you're like, "We're going to shock the world." You know, what was it about that confidence and going into that, being such a young guy in the league, to be able to have that mindset and to go in and do that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just for me, you know, the irony of looking on the other side of the field and seeing Brent Favre. Like, I watched Brent Favre in 92, 95, Super Bowls, like, just have great years in his career, and now I'm a quarterback in my second year, and I get to face a guy I looked up to, my best friend's favorite quarterback, favorite team. Like, it was another moment. It was snowing. It was the underdogs. Like, it was like the perfect night for football. And, you know, you're 22 years old. Arthur Blank came to me and he was like, man, you did all this, you accomplished all this, and you're only 22 years old. I couldn't fathom what that meant at the time, but I knew we was on to something great. But all my motivation was just knowing that it was greatness on the other side. And I want to prove to him and show John Madden, who was covering the game, him and Pat Summerall, that I was one of the best at it. And, so it's definitely a game that I never forget. And, the fact that, we beat Green Bay and they had never been beat before, I think made it even sweeter.
During that time, some of your teammates said you kind of had that mentality. It's being the last one in, first one out at times. They wonder about your maturity. Were you just coasting on talent? I guess I relate to that. And I relate to that in a way that, when I came into the league as a young kid, like, in college, you're able to come in, you get in there when your classes are done or whatever, and it has the ability to be
flow different,
way different. Yeah. And then, my first year in the league, I was oblivious completely to the fact of that last one in and first one out mentality. Yeah. I didn't understand the guys around me in the locker room that were watching that happen.
Same here.
7 o'clock team meeting, you walk in the building at 6:53.
You leave.
You sit down.
Yeah.
That mindset to me, it didn't really occur.
Yeah.
And it was a tough thing to have to happen. So
I got caught up in that.
Yeah.
When I look back at it, part of the things that I corrected when I went to Philly, and I heard that was echoed plenty of times, but for the right reasons. And so when you're super talented, sometimes you think you can just walk in and the talent is going to take over, but you being watched by everybody. And as a quarterback, we got to lead by example. And if the meeting started at 7, you there at 6:50, guess what? Everybody else going to show up at 6:50 or 6:48. Just thinking raw ability was going to always get me to the top. And as you get older, the little things matter. And so I'm always trying to instill that into my young quarterbacks and the next generation of quarterbacks and the ones that's watching, that you got to be the first one in, the last one out at all times. Never take that for granted.
I think that's one of the things, too, that, the little things that you hear from coaches and stuff throughout the years, to be early and to do this and to do that, because of how talented some people are on the field, that kind of escapes them.
Yeah.
It escapes them in the fact that, they feel like, and I was one of these people that had people come in and speak and talk to the team, and I fell victim to a lot of those traps.
Yeah.
So as you get to Philly and you come back around and you're like, you had to make a conscious effort and a constant change of that to be earlier in the building, to be the first one in, the first one out, to lead by example.
Yeah, I knew I had DeSean watching and Lil Sean watching and Macklin and, Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and all these other players who was around who, you got to show them the way. You in year 10, you got to show, because now you leaning on them to help the team be successful. So as I look back when I was young and I was doing it, you being an example, that's going to rub off on everybody else. Now you got to contaminate the team. You got to Philly, everybody was doing the right thing, showing up. We did good that year, and everybody went on to be successful. Win Super Bowls and set good standards and the right precedent. Leadership is right at the top. It should be leadership and then everything else. Athletic ability, however you want to sequence it. So yeah, it's just a change of thought. And you see these younger guys now, that's what they possess. That's why they so good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people obviously think that talent, can get you as far as you want to go, and then when in reality that's not the case. You can be the most talented, and we've seen it, time and time again with different people. It takes that hard work. It can only take you so far. And I think I got lucky enough to be able to get to one of the highest levels with talent, and then from there, without hard work and the leadership and the things that you need, it goes just as fast as it kind of came up.
Yeah, it do.
One of the reasons,
that love for the game.
One of the reasons you loved, playing for the Falcons is how close you were to being from Virginia. Being back close to home.
Yeah.
So, as you're going through, the draft process, don't really know where you're going to go. The Chargers had the first pick in the 2001 draft. Did you ever think about how the trajectory of your life would have changed if you would have been drafted there?
Yeah, I do think about that. But I try not to pay too much attention to that, because when I got traded to Atlanta, instantly I was just thinking about all the positives. Man, it's closer to Virginia. My family can travel there. Probably save a lot of money as opposed to going out, flying everybody out to San Diego. I'm looking at all the positives, but you know, it would have been far enough away where I would have been coming back and forth as much as I did when I was in Atlanta. So I think it would have had its pros and cons. But if I had to do it all over again, I would want to get drafted to Atlanta for sure. Like,
Felt like it was meant to
full
be.
reenactment. It was the culture, the city, the relationship we still have with the city now, the people in it. It goes without saying.
Football season is back, and my partner Underdog wants to make it a lot more exciting for you. Join the millions of fans who played on Underdog last year. With their Pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by making sports picks. It's time to turn those takes into cash by going higher or lower on player stats, like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and plenty more to choose from. Submit entries including NFL, college football, or mix and match across your other favorite sports to win big. Here are my money picks of the week. Underdog is available in 30-plus states, including California, Florida, Texas, and even Canada. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now and deposit using promo code Johnny to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. How'd you end up at Virginia Tech? Was that something that you always wanted to do? You always wanted to be a Hokie? No?
Nah, man. I wasn't recruited by it like the Notre Dames or the Florida States. Even though Virginia Tech was a big school, they was low-key and quiet. Went through the evaluation process. I had a older cousin that was at Virginia Tech. And so when I went there, got on campus, I'm a comfort guy. The comfort level was there. He was there. I still looked at the offense and looked at all the things that could potentially be and felt like, it's an easy commute for my mom. If she get a new car, at the time, like some of these things we can make happen. But Syracuse was too far. Georgia Tech was in Atlanta. It's just, I got to factor all these things in before I make this decision. So I chose VT because it was close, and it worked out for me in my life.
There's something nice about staying close to home.
Yeah,
staying
staying
to
in
the
state.
crib.
Yeah, UVA. They had my cousin Aaron Brooks, so they didn't recruit me hard. Ronald Curry, if you ever heard of him, he was being recruited by the University of Virginia, so I had to go another 2 hours down the road to Virginia Tech. But the best decision there, when I met Coach Beamer, I was like in love with him. Like I just knew he could be a coach that can help, guide me, take me out of the household that I was in and be a father figure instantly. Not with football, but to help me, navigate and get through, the college life.
The beginning of that freshman year. Do you have the confidence that you're about to do what you're going to do throughout that season?
No, it was a real tough process of learning the offense, learning protections, learning blitzes, learning defenses. That first 4 months, man, I really wanted to quit football, bro. I promise you, because football is really hard. I didn't know it was this complex.
You don't get that from the high school level.
You don't get that from the high school level, and depending on who coaching you as well. It ain't like, how the young men growing up these days. They got these quarterback coaches and quarterback schools and people who really pour into them. And so it just took a while. My coach just kept telling me to keep coming to the meetings, keep showing up. And one day it just clicked for me. So I had to gain that confidence. I gained it through the scout team, seeing different looks, and pretty much believing in myself, even though when I felt like I was missing out on whatever was happening on campus on Fridays and Saturdays when I had to travel with the team, it ended up paying off 2 years later when I was at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. And so I looked at the moment that I was in at the time and like, I'm glad I sacrificed those days and wasn't on campus hanging out because anything could have happened.
Yeah, how was that Heisman experience for you? Something you still obviously remember to this day, a cool experience. Do you feel like the way that you played that year that you deserved the award?
Yes. Based on the way I played, I should have won. I just know I was an underclassman. I was a freshman. Ron Dane paid his dues. He was like destined for it. But just being in that company, in that room, I think it was myself, Joe Hamilton, Chad Pennington, if you ever heard of him, quarterback. So it was an elite group. And those guys probably deserved it more than me being a freshman just breaking through because they had been consistent, real consistent.
Guys like you before being able to get to that top couple spots, being able to get to New York and go to the ceremony, paved the way for me to be able to have an opportunity to finally break down that barrier and be able to win it as a freshman.
Yeah.
And
but you had two back-to-back crazy seasons Yeah, it was lit. I remember I was watching you, like, man, me and my boys used to sit in the house and we discuss you like all the time. They'd be like, yo, what you think about Johnny? And it was all positive. Like, I knew you was gonna come in and, and be a force in the NFL. But sometimes it's all predicated on where you end up, who coaching you. You know what I'm saying? Like, those key things, they matter.
No doubt.
They matter.
They definitely
for
do.
longevity.
What was the experience like for getting a chance to go to the national championship? It's obviously is where you're at that point in your life, the pinnacle. The individual accolades are off, and it's time for the biggest team thing you can win in college sports, the biggest stage.
Yeah.
And what do you look back and reflect on that game now?
Yeah, it's just a moment I never thought I would be in. As a kid, when you dream of playing in national championships, playing in Super Bowls, or you watch it and you dream at the time. That dream became a reality so fast that I didn't really get to enjoy it. But I do remember playing in that game and saying to myself, like, if I keep playing like this, I'm going to have a chance at accomplishing my dream of playing on the next level. I do remember that. And playing against Florida State, some of the best athletes in the world, best players, Peter Warwick, Chris Winkie, they had a really good team. Like, it was like a measuring stick game. And I felt like I passed the test. So from that point on, I was like, man, if we don't repeat this again and duplicate this season, then I know I can come out as a sophomore if I'm good enough. But all the focus shifted back on just one game at a time and just trying to be consistent.
Falling short of that ultimate goal that first year, it's got to be, a little bit demoralizing going into that second season. You obviously see how much potential, how much talent, the way you're playing, on a path to be able to accomplish your dreams. But it's got to be a tough pill to swallow walking off that field, not being the victor.
Yeah, because, it's a long season, go undefeated and then lose that one game in the end. That was hard. And then the next year, going into my sophomore year, it was like a lot of Heisman hype. And I couldn't really gain that focus that I had the first year because now it's so much expectation, like obligations, flying here, All-American, this, and now it's a different type of focus. So I think we still went undefeated my second year up until like week 9. It was like 9-0. I think I won like my first 22 games or something. But I still had that feeling of, we got there last year, we can get back. Another situation where it's not easy to get back.
As you continue on through your career, right, Atlanta, you deal with the adversity and you get out, right, and you're looking to get back on the football field and you're looking to go continue your career. What is it that gravitates you to Andy Reid during this time? Because, man, what a coach, what a person, and it was one of the best decisions you made.
Thank God Andy came to me. Andy came after me. Like, I didn't know where I was going to end up. Like, I was looking at all these teams. Me and my wife trying to figure out, like, where we can end up. We was looking at Cincinnati. I think Buffalo had an opening. They had Rob Johnson and a couple other quarterbacks. So I'm like, I can go play there right now. But I think the plan that they put together was to, like, just bring me back and acclimate me back into the NFL really, really slow. I started out as the number 3 behind Donovan and Kevin Cobb, but it was more so of bringing you in to let you get yourself back in football playing shape, most important, and just learning a new offense, learning to play the game again. So fortunately for me, Andy took a liking to me, my work ethic, just doing the little things. I was doing the little things, and it paid off. And so the next year they brought me back, and I knew I was in good company with Andy, Marty, Doug Peterson, just a good group of offensive coaches who knew the game. James Urban, guys who poured into me and helped me understand, like, how to really break down defenses, break down film, understand protections, and go win.
The Andy Reid in town coaching the 6th Super Bowl. This guy's been on an absolute tear lately. How much do you credit him for the second act? On the field, off the field, and everything?
Yeah, a lot of credit to Andy because, man, it was more times where we probably didn't talk about football. I think that was it was second nature to us to talk ball and to break down film and execute. It was another thing to have a person who really cared about us as players, our well-being, our families, things that we had on and off the field, business. just being, confident, somebody you can talk to and bounce ideas off of, like, freely. His door was always open. He had an open door policy. He probably called me up there a lot more than anybody else just to check on my well-being, and that's what I needed. I'm coming from a place where I didn't expect to go be for 2 years. So from a mental standpoint, like, you got to make sure people are, like, in their right mind. Coach always made sure I was comfortable and that, I had, my feet on the ground and that they was planted.
Is that something you take, into this new position in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I learned, responsibility, what I'm saying, for people. Because when you become a coach, you're responsible for a lot of people. And while you might not feel like you always have to explain or you're responsible for their problems or the things that's happening in their life, you, in some way, shape, or form, you are. And so, it's more so of a leadership role. I watched all my coaches and just where they are now, they all somewhere in a powerful position, and that's because they was all good leaders.
I also want to talk to you about our new favorite partners, Dollar Shave Club. It's no surprise what facial hair is personal. We all grow it, shave it, and style it differently. And we think that's pretty great. It makes us all more interesting and unique. That's why in this club, we make the razors and you make the rules. Stubbled, bearded, clean shaven, or mountain man, Dollar Shave Club is for everybody and every budget. Whatever you shave, welcome to the club. Let me introduce you to some of the top sellers that are going to make your grooming routine feel like a spa day. First up, meet the Club Series 6 blade razor. This isn't just any razor. It's like a mini vacation for your face. With 6 stainless steel blades and a vitamin E infused lubricant strip, this razor delivers the closest, most comfortable shave imaginable. It's so comfy your skin might just want to take a nap afterwards. Plus, the precision trimmer is perfect for those little detail areas, because we all know how important those are. The Club Series handle that goes with it has no slip, 360-degree diamond pattern grip, so it's super clingy, in a good way. My favorite shave aid is the shave butter. It's so soft and hydrating, so it helps the razor glide perfectly across my face. But don't take my word for it. Try for yourself. Dollar Shave Club products are now available everywhere, so you can order from their website, Amazon, or get them at their favorite retailer near you. Or you can visit their site right now for 20% off, $20 or more, and get your products delivered right to your door. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/Glory Daze and use promo code Johnny for 20% off, $20 or more. And remember, whatever you shave, welcome to the club. So you spoke a little bit about, obviously the quarterback room you guys had in Philly a little bit, Donovan McNabb being the guy that lobbied for you to give you a chance to be there. How much was he an influence on you? Did he keep you in check and obviously, help you along throughout that process?
Yeah, Donovan was always one of my idols. He was a guy that when I was in high school, I wanted to be like him in college. He was already at Syracuse. I think I was transitioning into Virginia Tech, and he was in like his 3rd or 4th year at Syracuse, and I patterned my game after him and wanted to be like him. So I was always a huge fan, a follower of Donovan McNabb, and wanted to be like him. So, once I got to the league and we started playing against each other, we developed a relationship through the Pro Bowls, and I could see why he advocated for me. Like he wanted to help me out, so he was a big supporter. He pounded on the desk for me and got me in there. And it was one of the best things for me because I had the chance to hear him talk the game of football. And Donovan was a very knowledgeable quarterback. Like, he was a really good quarterback and knew the game in and out.
Love Donovan, but for you, you're got to be chomping at the bit to be able to get back on the field.
Yeah. Well, I was just, honestly, once I realized that the first year back was a year to just get back into the game, get it back into football shape, I really didn't want to go out there because the game was moving real fast for me. I missed 2 full seasons. And so I got in on a couple plays, and it was just really intense. And I hadn't felt that before. Being a starter in Atlanta, the game was moving fast for me. I needed an off season. I needed OTAs. I needed a training camp to get my looks and get my feel. I came in late. And so the speed of the game I never really caught up with. So, and Andy still made me the number 2. So if I would have had to go in, I'd have been ready. But I just wasn't mentally ready to go out there and execute.
Fast forward to 2010, you end up making the Pro Bowl, win Comeback Player of the Year. Was that sweeter than all the success that you had when you were younger to go through what you had gone through, sit out a couple years, take a year off being a backup, and then to come back and do something like that and leave your mark. What was it sweeter than before?
That was probably one of the best years of my life because, I remember I used to always tell my wife, man, I just need a shot. I just need a chance to get out there and go show what I can do. It came earlier than what I thought, but I was prepared for it. I had that OTA, the OTAs. I had the training camp. I had the reps, and that's what I needed. My body, I was conditioned, for 4 quarters and conditioned for a full season.
So there's got to be so much satisfaction in proving people wrong and having that redemption story.
Yeah, I think you just got to keep that edge, man. Like it's a never enough, never satisfied attitude that you got to have in anything in life that you want to be great at. But I feel like whatever you put your mind into and you go at it hard, you can make something out of it. And so, it's always going to be a field for proving people wrong, I think, in my life, because playing quarterback, that's what I felt like we was always trying to do. Either you're trying to prove the defense wrong, you're trying to prove your coaches right, you're trying to prove it to yourself, that I can do this, at a high pace, at a fast pace, and when it's really intense. So, that's what kept the fire burning, and still do to this day, to try to be great at everything that I do.
This year, Lamar, passed your record of all-time QB rushing yards. You've been a super vocal supporter of his, but
yeah,
that one definitely hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming though. I knew it was coming, and then the thing is, it's gonna get he's gonna shatter that record. Like, I don't see him letting up anytime soon. They just signed this coordinator back. He understands Lamar. Lamar's gonna continue to get better. So good luck to the next guy who trying to surpass our records, because it's gonna be tough.
As you look at the game nowadays, do you almost feel like you see the dual threat, you see the quarterbacks across the league where you almost have to be able to take off and be able to run the ball? Do you feel like you're almost better suited for playing in this era of football?
Yeah, definitely. With my speed and the offensive coaches that they have now, it would have been so easy to be at the top of the game, without a doubt. And it's easy to say from this chair because the defenses probably are different too and playing different. Offensive structures are different. I like to just go back and say my era was my era, and I dominated in that era. And I do feel like I had the physical gifts as well as the mental to play in this day and time, but who knows what it would have led to.
So coming back to Norfolk State, at this stage in your life, you've done so much. You got a nice job on TV, so why really do it? Do you think part of this is always feeling a need to right your wrongs or prove the idea of redemption, or is this just giving back what you can to the game?
Being able to give back, that's always going to be a part of it. 2, an opportunity to compete, for a championship. Like, I always told myself I want to compete one more time in my life for a championship. And if I got to do it with another group, I always felt like it was going to be with a group of people. It's going to be with a group. This time it's just not me with the ball in my hands. But those guys with the ball in their hands, we can coach them up. And I think it'll feel even better now winning the championship of some sort, knowing that it really had to be a collective effort. And we had to coach young men to go out and be great, see the vision, understand the whys, and go execute it. And that's fulfilling. I do football camps and I spend a day with a kid, and I be sad when I got to leave him. Now I get to spend every day with these guys and get to try to make them great.
That's something you can't get on the desk.
Yeah, for sure. You can't get that on the desk. Even though at the desk I love talking about the game, I love being a part of it. It was like the more I did it, the more I wanted to be closer to some type of organized team activity. And like I said earlier, it came a little sooner than what I thought, and I felt like the door was open, and I just wanted to walk through it and give it a shot.
Saw Allen Iverson at your introductory press conference. Obviously one of the GOATs. Going back in time a little bit, you think it's true that he might have been a better quarterback than you back in the day?
Yeah, no doubt. He was, man. You just go look at his film. It probably is not a lot out there, but I seen him in person. Like, he was super athletic, dual threat. Whether he could have done it in college, I think he would have to gain some weight. I think he could have. But it's crazy, man, because you're talking about a guy who was way ahead of his time on the football field, too. And I think he won a state championship in football and basketball. I never done that, so I can't say I was as great as him.
DeSean Jackson, I went on his pod not too long ago, him and Shady, and him obviously just getting hired as a head coach at Delaware State. You guys talked a little bit and chopped it up about the new roles and what's going to happen.
Yeah, we both excited, man, that we get to compete against one another. We had the chance to compete against others on the field together, and now I get to look across the sideline and see my brother, and we get to, for 60 minutes, go at it. May the best team win, but in the end, we get to shake hands, walk away from it, and still be brothers. And so we both know we took on a big responsibility. We do know that. And, it's moments where we like, man, this was worth it. And there's probably moments where we like, what did we get ourselves into? But, at the end of the day, we took on a responsibility, man, and I think we're both excited about it.
You got to have some good teammate memories with DeSean. Obviously, the legendary play action drop back.
Monday night pass, yeah.
Absolute. That had to be one of the best balls you've ever thrown in your life, just as far as you could absolutely launch it.
But when I think about all the plays that me and DeSean made, nothing compares to the punt return against New York that he had to seal a game. He was a big reason why we made the playoffs that year. You realize how blessed you are to be able to throw to somebody who can just beat any coverage as long as you see it right.
Yeah, you got one guy who can be able to take the top off, do everything that you need. And as a quarterback, it's almost just like running routes on air out there.
He was different.
Kids are going to have questions about, football whenever they're coming into your office and coming into, your world there. But they're also going to have questions about other parts of your life. How do you think you'll handle that with the recruiting side of things and dealing with these kids?
Just be yourself, you know what I'm saying? Be truthful. Be yourself. They know what they know. They are kids also. They do research. But, so far so good in that department. I think when you're authentic and, you don't shy away from anything and you don't make it seem as if you can't answer the tough questions, then you invite them. And I want them to always feel like they can talk to me about anything, and we're going to always keep that open dialogue. I think that's important as they grow as men.
I'm going to rattle off a couple things that have been said about you in your life. He's the most hated man in America, a cheat code, a pariah, a pioneer, a generational talent. As you look back on things, how do you think people think about Michael Vick?
I think it's going to be positive and negative. I never spend my life worrying about what people thought about me or think about me. It is important because I try to teach my kids and not worry about what people think about them. But you say you create your own destiny, and you're gonna have, a lot of fans out there, and you're gonna have a lot of people that's against you. So, it could be divided, it could be 50-50, it could be 75-25, it could be 90-10. It's not for me to try to figure out what that number is or what makes the most sense or what's fulfilling to me.
Is it tiring to live up to what everybody expects from you, to the redemption story, to all you've been through? Does it get tiring?
Nah, not for me. The only expectations I feel like I got to live up to is my own. And I set high standards and high expectations every day, whether it's with Fox, whether it's in my household, whether it's just in random business. I always want to be the best. It's not for me to relive in the past or relive it or live in it. I done kicked down that door and I done walked through it, and I'm just on to a different path in life. But, the irony is that people gonna always expect certain things or expect you to be a certain way. But, I think once they meet me, once they get to know me, they get to have a different feel about me, or they may look at me different. But I don't do anything for anybody else but to please myself. And I think I got to keep it that way. That's the authentic me, and I never change. And if you see me change, you come to tell me like, yo, bro, you was different from the time we went to sit down and had the podcast,
always been
what
real.
you doing, man?
Always,
what you on?
Always been real and always
No
been
doubt.
the same since I ran into you the first day. So, man,
Sure.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Absolutely.
It's nothing but love and respect for you, your family, and everything you're enduring on this next journey. Go and reach those goals. Go and do what you got to do, man. I appreciate you. Much love.
No doubt.
That's pretty much a wrap for season 1 of Glory Daze, man. I'm unbelievably thankful in this transition into doing something new for myself. Thankful for every single person that sat in these seats across from me. Thankful for all the viewers that have taken time out of their days and out of their lives to tap into what we're doing over here. You know, for me to be able to sit down and pick the brains of some, you know, people that I see as legends in my mind has been, you know, an unbelievable experience for me, and one that I look forward to continuing in season 2. None of this is possible without all of you guys out there. So much love. Thank you for everything, and look forward to continue to bring you some content on Glory Daze. Gig 'em.